Okay, so are you ready for a deep dive today?
Always. What are we digging into?
We're talking about a career that's, well, it's got a history, like way back in time kind of history.
Right.
But it also involves some serious tech. And honestly, it's making me crave a sandwich something fierce right now.
Okay, you've got me intrigued. You're going to have to lay it on me. What career has you thinking about sandwiches?
Oil mill operators.
Oil mill operators. Wow. Okay, I see where the history and the sandwich connection comes in.
Right. I mean, think about it. Those incredible artisanal oils we love, someone's got to be making those. And it turns out it's a pretty fascinating process.
Definitely not your average 9 to 5.
Uh,
So, spill the tea. What kind of intel did RoleCatcher give us on these oil mill operators?
Well, we went full on Sherlock, my friend, and let me tell you, there's more to this gig than meets the eye. First off, you ever wonder how they actually get those oils?
Honestly, yeah. I mean, I know it comes from oil seeds and all, but beyond that, it's kind of mystery.
Total mystery, right. Like, I was reading about how they used to extract oil back in ancient Egypt, giant mortars and pestles, the whole shebang.
Wow. Talk about old school. So how does that ancient process translate to what oil mill operators do today?
That's the thing. It's not all ancient anymore, although those traditional methods are still a huge part of it. But you've also got some serious tech in the mix. It's this wild blend of old and new.
Okay, I am so there for this blend of old and new. But break it down for me. What does an oil mill operator actually do on a day-to-day basis?
So it's about extracting oil from oil seeds, right?
Yeah.
But it's way more nuanced than just like pressing a button.
Right, because we're talking about artisanal oils here, right? There's got to be a level of craft involved.
Exactly. We're talking about a blend of those age-old techniques, grinding, pressing, filtering, all that ancient knowledge, but it's now combined with modern machinery, automated systems, the whole 9 yards.
So it's like they're conducting an orchestra of machinery, but with ancient roots. I like it.
That's a great way to put it. You're not just an operator, you're like a conductor, making sure it all comes together. And speaking of coming together, another thing RoleCatcher revealed is that there are some pretty unexpected tasks involved. I mean, I was surprised.
Okay, hit me with the unexpected. What do oil mill operators do that we wouldn't see coming?
Well, for starters, quality control and record keeping are a huge part of the job. And I don't mean just like a quick once-over and a signature on a clipboard. We're talking serious attention to detail.
Now, that is interesting. I have to admit, when I think of oil mill, I don't immediately jump to meticulous record keeping, but it makes sense. Tell me more about that.
So basically, these records are like a map. They track everything, the origin of the oil seeds, the quality, the exact settings used during extraction. It's all in there.
And I'm guessing that level of detail is crucial for maintaining consistency and, making sure each batch of oil is up to snuff.
Exactly. It helps pinpoint issues, ensures every batch meets those sky-high standards. It's the backbone of the whole operation.
Wow, okay. So we're talking history, tech, and a bit of a detective's mindset when it comes to quality control. What about the work environment itself? What's it like being an oil mill operator?
So the guides painted a pretty vivid picture. We're talking a bustling environment. It can be noisy. There's a lot going on. You've got these machines humming away.
Yeah, I can only imagine. Heavy machinery tends to make itself known, right?
For sure. But it's not just about the equipment. One thing that really stood out was how collaborative this role is. You're working closely with a team, fellow operators, supervisors, maintenance staff, you name it.
Okay, so those communication skills are non-negotiable.
Gotcha. Oh, yeah. Think about those detailed records we talked about. They're not just for one person, they're a communication tool for the whole team. Being able to convey information clearly, collaborate effectively, troubleshoot together, it's all part of the package.
That's so interesting. It's like this hidden world of teamwork and collaboration that most people, me included, wouldn't even think about when it comes to making oil.
Right. I know, it really flips the script. And speaking of flipping the script, let's talk about you, dear listener, and whether this whole oil mill operator thing might be your next career move. So we're talking about a job that needs you to be super detail-oriented, but also a total team player.
And you got to have that ancient wisdom, but also be down with the tech.
Exactly. It's kind of wild when you think about it. But okay, let's shift gears a bit and talk about you, dear listener.
Time to see if this whole oil mill operator thing is their next big career move. I like it.
Right, because who knows, maybe this is the perfect gig you've been waiting for. Now, RoleCatcher did a deep dive on the pros and cons, and I gotta say, some of the benefits were a total surprise. Like, Did you know there's some serious potential for entrepreneurship in this field?
Wait, really? Okay, that's not what I was expecting, but I'm totally intrigued. Tell me more.
Right. It definitely caught my eye. Apparently, with the demand for these artisanal specialty oils going through the roof, there's a huge opportunity for skilled operators to like break away and start their own thing.
Okay, I'm seeing the wheels turning in your head already. What kind of own thing are we talking
Uh,
about here?
well, imagine this. You could specialize in rare oils, source your ingredients locally, maybe even experiment with some crazy flavor combinations. The possibilities are pretty much endless.
Whoa, so it's like taking your passion for these amazing flavors and turning it into your own brand, your own little empire. I love it.
Exactly. It's like this hidden entrepreneurial spirit within the whole oil mill world. But okay, we've got to talk about the flip side too. No job is perfect, right? And the guide mentioned something about seasonal work being a factor here.
Ah, yeah, that makes sense. Mother Nature doesn't really care about our year-round production schedules, does she?
Sadly, no. So, depending on the types of oils being produced, there can definitely be some ebb and flow to the workload. Like if you're working with olives or certain nuts, those have very specific harvest seasons.
So you might have these super busy periods followed by things slowing down a bit. It's something to consider if you're someone who thrives on that, like, steady, predictable routine.
For sure. It's all about finding that right fit. Right. But okay, let's say you're all in on this oil mill operator life. You've totally crushed it, pun intended, obviously.
Had to sneak that one in there.
I know I couldn't resist. But anyway, you're crushing it in your entry-level role. What's next? What does climbing the ladder look like in this field?
Well, luckily, RoleCatcher mapped out a pretty clear progression for us. We're talking a path from entry level all the way up to, drumroll please, operations manager.
Okay, operations manager has a nice ring to it, I'm not going to lie.
Oh.
But what does that actually entail? What are the key differences between, say, an entry-level position and someone in a management role?
So as you gain experience, your responsibilities really start to evolve. It's not just about focusing on your own tasks anymore. You become more of a mentor, guiding others, making sure the whole operation is humming along like a well-oiled. See what I did there?
Another solid pun. But
Yeah.
yeah, I get it. It's like you graduate from playing one instrument to conducting the whole orchestra.
Exactly. And that means taking on a lot more responsibility. You might be managing production schedules, ensuring quality control across the entire operation, even getting involved in researching and implementing new extraction techniques.
Wow, so you become like the oil whisperer, the go-to expert for everything. That's pretty cool.
Right. And it really highlights how this isn't just a job where you do the same thing day in and day out. There's real opportunity for growth, for innovation.
I'm picking up on that entrepreneurial spirit again.
Speaking of which,
Okay, so we're talking leadership potential, maybe even going full-on entrepreneur and starting your own oil empire.
don't forget innovation. You could be the one inventing a whole new way to extract oil.
Right. The possibilities are huge, but let's be real for a sec. You got to actually land that first job before you can start revolutionizing the industry, right? And I know our listeners, they're go-getters. They want results. So what's the secret sauce? What did RoleCatcher say about standing out in the job market for, aspiring oil mill operators?
Well, it's interesting you should ask that because while experience is definitely key, we can't ignore the fact that getting your foot in the door these days, it can be a bit of a process, to put it mildly.
Oh, tell me about it. Online applications, the whole shebang, it can be a real headache.
Exactly. And what a lot of people don't realize is that many companies use these things called applicant tracking systems, ATS, for short, to filter through all those applications.
Okay, ATS. I've heard of those, but to be honest, I don't really know how they work. It's all a bit of a mystery to me.
Right. They're like these digital gatekeepers, and if your resume doesn't have the right keywords, the right format, you can get lost in the shuffle.
Yeah.
Like some studies suggest that up to 75% of resumes never even make it to a human's eyes because they get tripped up by the ATS.
Wait, seriously, 75%. So you're telling me there's a good chance my resume is just going into a black hole?
It's a risk, for sure, but that's where RoleCatcher comes in with some serious intel.
Okay, so they have some sort of secret weapon for bypassing these ATS things.
Not bypassing, more like understanding them. RoleCatcher has basically studied the ATS playbook. Their platform analyzes job descriptions like really dissects them to figure out exactly what employers are looking for. They identify those magic keywords, those specific skills that make a resume stand out. Then they help you tailor your application so it's speaking the ATS language.
So RoleCatcher is like a translator for the digital age of job hunting.
Exactly. They increase your chances of getting your resume in front of a real, live human being who can actually appreciate your skills and experience.
That's incredible. It's like having a secret weapon in the job search battle.
Right. It's all about leveling the playing field. Well,
I love it. Okay, so we've covered a lot of ground today. We talked about what oil mill operators actually do, the skills they need, the potential career paths, even how to navigate the wild world of job hunting. As we wrap things up here, what are the key takeaways you want our listeners to walk away with?
I think the biggest takeaway is that there's more to this career than meets the eye. We often don't think about where our food comes from, and in this case, where those delicious oils we use every day actually come from. It's a craft, it's a science, and it's a field full of passionate people.
It's like this perfect blend of ancient wisdom and cutting-edge technology. And for anyone out there with an entrepreneurial spirit, well, it sounds like there's a ton of potential here. And speaking of resources, remember that RoleCatcher has your back every step of the way, detailed guides, interview prep, those incredible AI-powered tools we talked about. We'll make sure to include all the links in the show notes.
Don't be shy, go check it out. You might just discover your next dream career.
Absolutely. All right, folks, that's it for today's deep dive. We hope you learned something new and maybe even feel inspired to explore the world of oil mill operating. Until next time, happy job hunting.